Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PennZone, PennLive's high school football watch-along show. I'm here alongside, this is sports editor Austin Hertzog. I'm here alongside high school football expert and trending news guru, the man with the beard, the beautiful facial hair of the century, Brian Linder. Brian, how are you tonight?
It's no shave August. And we just carry it right into November, Hey, man, we're coming on the air. It's another second Friday night. It seems like the season flies by, Austin. Before you know it, we'll be talking about the 10th Friday night and getting ready for the playoffs. But we're coming on the air. We're going to talk about these games. We had some big breaking news here at PennLive, right? Dan Sostek, who's out covering the game for us, he gets on the horn, calls up Tim Brown, who's the father of Kevin Brown, the number one prospect, junior prospect in the state of Pennsylvania, offensive lineman for Harrisburg, Penn State commit. Harrisburg and Bishop McDevitt have a huge game tomorrow. If you guys haven't seen the video, TJ Smith did a great video on the rivalry. It's on PennLive.com. And Harrisburg's coming off a tough loss. We expected him to be a 6A title contender. And now we find out they're going to be without Kevin Brown, who, according to his father, broke his foot in practice Thursday. Will be out Saturday for the big game and has to see a specialist next week, Austin, to figure out how much time he is out. So huge news, a statewide news. And again, Harrisburg was expected to be a state title contender, got beat up by LaSalle College, who itself might be a state title contender in week one, has a very tough Bishop McDevitt team that could also be a state title contender in 5A. And now they're without Kevin Brown. And we know, right, Austin, they lost Sean Lee Jr. right before the season, eligibility issue. He was a Pitt commit. So this has been a couple rough weeks for the Harrisburg Cougars, Austin.
Yeah, it's my gosh, to have this run of essentially 8 days between Sean Lee's ineligibility verdict, then the loss to LaSalle, and then 4 days after that, Kevin Brown injury. I mean, you got to feel for the Cougars right now. I mean, that is what a run of bad luck and just misfortune. That's although I would say that probably the feeling changes if somehow they can pull off that outcome tomorrow at McDevitt. It's quite a time for them, I think it's fair to say.
I think they need to play well tomorrow. There's still a ton of talent on this team. Elias Koch may be the best receiver in the state. He's a nationally ranked type kid. Messiah Mickens is a Penn State commit at running back. Deontay Sheffy is the Syracuse commit who can also play running back. And I understand he's a little bit banged up. Kymir Williams, actually their safety linebacker type, he actually committed to St. Francis tonight. So still a lot of talent there. But McDevitt's loaded. We had some questions about how they were going to replace some people coming into this season, but man, they look good. They got Stone Saunders, excited to see what they can do. That's still going to be a big game, but I think it's the pressure's more on Harrisburg now, going into tomorrow. But let's talk about tonight.
I was just gonna say we got a good one here on the extra screen there. What you're seeing there is Trinity versus East Pennsboro. Shamrocks are up 24-14, but this has been a close one throughout. It's been a really good game. Quarterbacks were perfect in the first half. They were combined 13 for 13 in the first half, which, I mean, you're talking a clean game. Trinity seems like it's maybe taking control here, but good one going on out there.
So both of these teams are really interesting. East Pennsboro last year, they were pretty darn good. And Keith Otis at quarterback, he's gone. They lost a lot of seniors. Aaron Angelo had a big sophomore year. He was out last year. Didn't do as much. I think he got hurt. He's back. He had a good first week for them. Trinity, on the other hand, Jordan Hill was their coach last year, and they had Mike Mowdy on staff too, two former Nittany Lions. They are now in NFL players. They are now with the Penn State program, and Messiah Mickens was their running back last year. He's transferred over. He's at Harrisburg. Chris Thompson, one of their linemen, is now at Bishop McDevitt. Tanny Young is now at CD East. had a big opening week with them as a wide receiver. So they lost a lot, okay? But they have Jacob Ness coming back, who had 130 tackles last year. Emil Way, who's a 6'1", 6'2" type corner. Austin, who has some upstate, some college offers. He came back to them. And then they had a running back named Christian Joy who came back too, who ran for about 900 yards last year, spelling Messiah when he got hurt. So they lost a lot, but they had a couple kids hang in there. And this will be a big win for them because, like I said, East Pennsboro looked pretty good last week, even though they lost a lot. This will be a good win for this Trinity team.
Yeah.
You forget a couple of years ago, Austin, they were playing Southern Columbia for a right to go to the state championship. They won a District 3 title 2 years ago. Last year was not the year that they were expected to have. But again, they lost a lot, including their coaches. So this will be big for them in week 2.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I've been exposed to here in recent years is that so often the narrative around the boundary versus non-boundary schools is, oh, well, the non-boundary schools, they have an immediate advantage, but it doesn't always work that way. And sometimes you see those lean years for schools like that because you have to continue the process. The kids don't just show up. You have to continue to make it an environment that people want to come to, whether it be football or otherwise. So that's a factor where I've seen it from the other side, where once upon a time I was that, the non-boundary schools, they have the big advantage, but you can see it, but you see it both ways. It's not such an automatic thing.
But see, I've always made this argument. If you can't honestly say that both schools start at the same starting point, then you have an illegitimate system. And you can't tell me like St. Joe's Prep starting at the same starting point as Harrisburg. You know what I'm saying? So
Totally.
And that's somewhat on the I'm from South Carolina, where they split the classifications up, private school and public. So now they're getting more charter schools in South Carolina. So it's becoming a big talking point for them too, because charter schools are sort of non-boundary too. But it worked fine with the private schools and public schools being split. I don't know what the right answer is. I've always said just open it up and let people go where they want to go.
Yeah.
Because in the end, most of the time they get where they want to get anyway.
Yeah. So. I've often wished that there was like an open where if you want to go for the open level of your whatever classification you want, if you want to throw your hat in the ring for the big title, then come one, come all.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool. That's like a winner take all, because sometimes you see some great teams in a lower classification. I mean, of course, 6A is going to be the biggest, and you're of course going to have that. But sometimes you have a Titan in 4A or 3A, whatever the case may be. If it's one of those really special years, special programs. So I've always wanted to see that winner take all environment. That's never going to happen, but I can dream.
That kid from Trinity right there just had a nasty little move on the sideline, it looked like, before they went to this timeout. So Trinity hanging on here 24-14. We're watching Trinity East Pennsboro as we kind of talk some football here. I'll tell you one, Austin, I want to throw out there, looking around the statewide scores I had pulled up over here. Dude, I mean, you're coming up, from Springford Way. We just talked last week about how you covered them. They're getting wore out tonight by Easton, right?
They are. Yeah, it was 21-0 quick. The initial thought is Matt Zollers playing? He's playing. He got picked off twice by the Easton quarterback, who's gone both ways. He got picked off twice in the first half. 42-0 now. Yeah, that's pretty grim.
For a lot of people that don't know, again, Matt Zollers is ranked by a lot of people as the number one quarterback in the state, a nationally ranked prospect who's going to Missouri. That's a wow. Like, didn't see that. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. Another statewide score that I just looked at, Brian. LaSalle backed up their win over Harrisburg with a 21-17 win over Malvern Prep. That's a legitimate 2-0 for LaSalle. So I think Harrisburg may be able to take some heart in that, is that they are not pretenders this year. Those are two legitimate wins right there.
Malvern usually has some guys, so
They absolutely do. Hey, why don't we run down the mid-pen quick? I'm
Do
going to
that.
run down the
Let's
scores
run
quick.
it down and see. Because
Because
I want to say
there's a bunch of competitive games here.
Tyler Schneider talked me into picking Boiling Springs beating West Perry, and that's not working out for me tonight, Austin.
Yeah, we can start there. That one's West Perry 37, Boiling Springs 7. So yeah, maybe not the best pick if you're trying to contend in the picks pool this year. Elsewhere, we've got Milton Hershey 21, Middletown 13. Waynesboro pulling away after a 14-all game. Waynesboro 26, Gettysburg 14. We got Mifflin County 27, Northern York 7. Susquehanna Township now up 3 scores, 28. Greencastle Antrim 6. Line Mountain up 40-0 on Newport. Cumberland Valley also pulling away from Carlisle, 35-0. Central Dauphin up 13-7 on Cedar Cliff. That's been a close one throughout. No little separation there.
41 yards last week against Central York in a 37-0 loss. They can beat Cedar Cliff tonight. That is huge for the program because we expect them to be a little down. We didn't think they were going to be as bad as they were last week. Cedar Cliff, we thought would be, solid. They're always pretty solid. That'd be a big win for Central Dauphin tonight.
Yeah. Shippensburg up 28-13 on Hershey. Juniata 23, Steel High 14 in the third quarter. I know going into that, I know the belief was that Steel High is taking a step back this year, but as I understand it, 29 game division win streak that is in jeopardy here tonight.
They lost an all-time type class. They had the Irby brothers,
yeah,
who's the all-time passing leader in a lot of, checks a lot of those boxes for all-time passing records in Pennsylvania. Andrew Jr.'s at Ohio. Rel Caesar, who was an amazing wide receiver. So they lost a lot of guys and then had to move up to 2A. I think they were up early in that game. I still picked them to win because I thought they still had enough good athletes. But Juniata's got that Jasper Sheps kid. If you guys haven't seen him around the state, check him out. And this would be a good win for Juniata, even though Steel High's a little bit down. So,
yeah. State College having their way with Altoona. That's 50-0.
I watched State College beat up Gateway last week. They're good. Eddie Corkery at quarterback. Todd Salazar out there at wide receiver. Michael Gall, linebacker and wide receiver. They're a pretty good football team.
Yeah. They're certainly going to be one to watch. Those really convincing wins. Got Lower Dolphin 14, Redland 0. Camp Hill and Big Spring 7-7. Camp Hill loving the close games to start the year.
Oh, Big Spring. This people don't know. Last year, Big Spring had and it just went final 44-21. West Perry beats Boiling Springs, but Big Spring at Camp Hill last year had a controversial fumble where it was ruled a fumble. The kid, or it was a fumble call where I forget which side it was on now actually, but it was a controversial fumble play last year. The refs obviously got wrong. It really decided that game for Camp Hill. So you knew Big Spring was going to be fired up coming into this one. So, that's that. I kind of expect them to put up a fight, even though Camp Hill runs the air raid with Drew Brandstatter, who got his first college offer today from Gettysburg, their quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the state. If you haven't heard of him, check out his film.
Yeah. Looks like Trinity just broke off a nice little quick pass first down there. So they're moving the ball with 8:28 to go. A couple finals now, actually. Waynesboro over Gettysburg is going final 26-14. And like you said, that West Perry 44-21 win over Boiling Springs final. Also, we had a little brunch affair this morning. Mechanicsburg 35, Palmyra 14 after thunderstorms postponed that game from Thursday night to Friday morning. So they got that one in early. Our buddy Evan Wheaton ran out there. He's doing the double today.
11 a.m. on a Friday, they played that game.
Yeah.
But, hey, you know what? We got that in. Josh Smith had a big game for them. One of the better wide receivers in the state. If you haven't heard of him, check him out. About 6'2", 6'3" kid. Can hoop too, but got some college offers. I think he had 3 or 4 touchdowns today, Austin. So Mechanicsburg off to a pretty good start this year. New coach Dave Hecker taking over Anthony Rose. So they're off to a pretty good start. How about Susquehanna Township here? 28-6, like you said, over Greencastle. Talk about them. They got all the weapons. You know, they got Lex Cyrus, who's one of the fastest players in the state. University of South Carolina commit at wide receiver. Jarrett Kern, who's got several college offers at the other receiver spot. Torrin Evans, who's a young quarterback for them, who's been starting since he was a freshman, throwing it around. A couple good linemen. They're an exciting team to watch too. If you haven't seen those guys out there, I saw statewide Austin. Central Catholic looks like Central Catholic Pine Richland are playing tonight.
That's a big one.
That is huge, man. That is huge. Like that's one of the games. Like you had to pick a game to be at. That's one of the games you want to tonight. You know.
Do we have a score on that?
I saw like 11-0 earlier, which seems like a weird score at half. So I'm wondering if we're not getting that one incorrect, but it said 11-0 Central Catholic.
Yeah, it looks like they had a lightning delay, so they were put behind. So it was 11-0 Central Catholic.
Nazareth is beating Whitehall with Peyton Falzoni at quarterback. He's the Virginia Tech commit. Big kid, 6'5", 200-pounder. There's 27-6 over Whitehall right now. Easton is just destroying your spring forward guys. 49-0.
Hard night for the Rammies.
What's going on, man?
Hard night for the Rammies.
You know, I'm thinking about, player of the year at the end of this year, what that might look like already. And, you would have to think Matt Zollers would have been in that discussion. This is going to be tough for him, but you'd also think Stone Saunders, that quarterback for Bishop McDevitt. Like I said, he has a chance to beat all of Alex Irby's state records.
Yeah.
He's a Kentucky.
And obviously with his 4 touchdowns in week 1, that's a great way to start. I think there's a lot of expectation on Stone, but I think I would like to think that was a good confidence boost, that there's no doubts for him.
Yeah. I think he threw for like 290, or 270 in the first week. Dominic Diaz-Ellis, wide receiver for them, had a really good game, which, we thought he was coming. Austin, they had Rico Scott last year, who's now at Alabama, and the year before they had Rico and Tyshawn Russell, who's now at South Carolina. And Dominic has been on the team, but he didn't have a lot of numbers. And then, he started getting some good college offers in the all season, and he really had a nice game to open up. So
another one in District 3 that I have my eye on is Ephrata 14, Manheim Central 14. That's a pretty competitive one. Obviously, Manheim Central is kind of the standard bearer throughout many years in the LL, whereas Ephrata was my alma mater, as a matter of fact. Ephrata was a disaster for well over a decade, record losing streak, and now Coach Chris Miller has really elevated things. They were in the district final last year in a pretty special one against neighboring Cocalico, and here they are in a battle with Manheim Central. So that's that one's going to be a big early season boost for certainly a District 3 contender.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot about Ephrata this year. And then last year, they had, I think, the Andre Wyman kid who was pretty good. And they had Sam McCracken at quarterback, I think. Manheim Central's typically, like you said, a powerhouse. They struggled a little bit last week against West Philadelphia. Now, and kind of a slugfest here with Ephrata in the fourth. So you're wondering if Manheim's looking like they might be a little down this year. So, I'll plug Austin too. Alice Ramos, the wide receiver from McCaskey, was our PA statewide player of the week this week. He had 4 catches for like 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. They had a big win. So he's going to get a shirt from us, the player of the week shirt, courtesy of Hummelstown Print House. But we had 179 performances from around the state on our list. I go through and scrub all these sites and stuff, and we spend hours putting it together. Last week was one of our lighter polls we've had in the history of the whole thing, but make sure you guys get out and check that out. It'll be up, Sunday evening. It should be up. Check it out, and you'll get a good idea of kind of what people around the state, from every corner of the state that we can get to, are doing, and some of the top guys. It's fun for me to put together because it helps me kind of keep track of what everybody's doing. So
Yeah, I mean, certainly, nobody else is doing it like you in that regard. To have all the top performers throughout the state is just nobody else in the state is doing this,
yeah,
folks. So what the hours that Brian puts in to compile that list is really impressive, and it's an incredibly comprehensive look at what the weekend that was in the state of Pennsylvania, and that's why we try to give some swag to that top performer of the week. So, hey, remember to check out our top performers list after each week and also vote.
yeah, it's a fun way, man, just to kind of get a quick scan. Like I said, there's 179 names on it, but you can scan and just see who did what over the weekend. And so we got guys from 1A schools out west, and that don't get much coverage to all the way. We got the big schools too, so it's fun, man. And then you can go vote, and if you've got a kid in there who you really like or thinks deserves it, you can go vote for it. So how about the Haverford school beat up on Wyomissing? Let me tell you a stat from Wyomissing's game last week. Wyomissing beat Southern Columbia last week, and I said this in the podcast, which, by the way, guys, if you watch this, you need to be checking out our PA High School Football Report podcast. But I said it in the podcast this week, Austin. Wyomissing beat Southern Columbia last week to open the season, and Southern Columbia ran the ball 25 times for negative 41 yards. And if you know anything about Southern Columbia, they run the football. So for Wyomissing to do that to them, you figure Wyomissing's pretty good. And for the Haverford school to rough up Wyomissing, you figure they're pretty good. So,
yeah, I think that kind of blows up my. Well, I mean, Haverford School's a prep school. They're not in the PIAA, so it's
yeah,
that changes the non-boundary versus boundary discussion because they don't apply. But yes, that's another program that brings down some heavy hitters there in the Interact. So,
hey, Central Valley is losing 20-13 to Thomas Jefferson, and Central Valley is a team that is, I think, always kind of in the mix in that 3A picture, and I think they were expected to be in the mix to start this season. And I think they're 0-1 to start the year, so they could be looking at 0-2, which I think Thomas Jefferson did have some guys though, so it's kind of interesting. We got a handful of teams who we thought were going to be really good, who they still might really be really good. I mean, for Harrisburg, for instance, they got this terrible Kevin Brown thing, but they still got some really good guys. Now they might lose to Bishop McDevitt tomorrow, but they still might be pretty good when it's all said and done. But we got a handful of these top teams who open with really tough schedules. Top first 2 or 3 games been really tough. So no pushovers for some of these teams.
yeah, I think you're seeing that this year. At least that's my sense of it, is that competitive teams have really tried to schedule competitive non-league games because they know that it pays off later on down the road. If you start with a cupcake and then the bell rings once you get in your division against your top opponent, you're not ready for it because you didn't have a competitive enough rep in your non-league game. So I feel like teams and programs, the ones that are really trying to compete on a higher level, are really committed to getting a good game in those non-league opportunities. I feel like that's huge, and it's really important because then we get the matchup. We get those interesting matchups, those cross-divisional, cross-district. You find out who's who, like in some of the other games where last night we had Central York going over to Manheim Township and losing by 3 scores out there, 28-10 maybe. But yeah, it's interesting to find out who's who in these opportunities, and that doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to shake out in the end. But I certainly appreciate knowing a little bit more about what teams look like from district to district or league to league.
So I'm looking at, it looks like obviously East Pennsboro's down here. We're watching the East Pennsboro Trinity game, and East Pennsboro's trying to give it one last effort. 7:10 to go. They're trailing 24-14, and they're trying to make a move here. So
we got a couple other finals now, Brian. Line Mountain closed out their shutout over Newport 48-0. Camp Hill pulled it out against Big Spring 14-13.
How about this? Cedar Cliff and Central Dauphin are now tied at 13-13. Bennett Seacrest threw a touchdown to his brother, Blake Seacrest, to tie it, but a fumbled snap on the extra point leaves it tied at 13 all. Dan Southwick's out covering that game, so
Oof.
we'll have that one on Penn Live a little bit here later. Kamir Williams is messaging me. It's what I'm looking at, folks. He's wanting to talk about his commitment to St. Francis, which I love the Williams kids. Kyle Williams, who was there and he committed to Temple. He's a really good running back. Now he's at Morgan State. He's a heck of a player. He will do well at Morgan State. If everything goes as it should there. I'm just scrolling more scores here.
Yeah, I got our guy out at the Camp Hill game, Tyrese Smith, came through with Brandstetter had 208 all-purpose yards, 139 passing, 69 rushing in the win, and that was a Camp Hill reversed a result from last year, an overtime loss there to Big Spring. So good little turnaround for them there to get on the right side of it.
Southern Columbia getting back right this week, 47-0. They're beating. They're currently beating Loyal Sauk Township. So
here's one I'm not sure we had said. CD East 29, Chambersburg 2.
Lance Dean and the Panthers, man. You know, a lot of people know Lance Dean, and I said it last week. He trains Micah Parsons. You know, Micah still comes back to Harrisburg, and actually he'll fly Lance out. That's CD's coach to train him around the country. And he's actually works with Bryce Huff. He's worked with Abdul Carter now, who's at Penn State. So, and they got one of the better linebackers in the state, Zach Brown there. So, you know. Lance Dean of CD East getting it right, Austin.
There you go.
He's a good football coach. Good guy. I'm a little bit surprised. I know Peters Township's been really strong. They're beating McKeesport 35-0. I'm a big fan of Ken Monspell, the running back from McKeesport. He's a Penn State commit, 2027 class. I think he's nationally ranked. He's another kid worth checking out. You know, peeping his film because he can roll. I mean, you get that kid the ball, he can roll. So get his roll on, Austin.
If only we had the drop for that.
Yeah, well, I got the surround sound, so I can fire it up.
Let's go.
I don't know if we have the rights to that.
Probably not. I think we can get away with maybe three seconds of it or so.
Yeah.
What do we got? Somebody. Looks like we got a Trinity player taking it to pay dirt.
Yeah, so that pretty much puts a nail in East Pennsboro.
Yes,
That's a good win. That's a good win for very good win for Trinity. Carolyn Fortney giving our podcast a shout out. You know, everybody always asks me why I say, she's one of our key listeners on the podcast. So, Elias Koch's mom, she's listening.
There you go. Hey, I certainly appreciate those loyal listeners to the pod. I think it's really special. I mean, you guys put a lot of effort and thought into doing the podcast on a bi-weekly basis. So it's great to see that there is a following.
Yeah. Carolyn, I'm going to be watching tomorrow. We'll see what your Cougars got for the Crusaders. I think I picked Bishop McDevitt. I don't pick against Harrisburg very much, and you know why? Because they made me look smart picking them.
Yeah.
Carolyn was telling us that Steel High's losing to Juniata 29-14. Is that game going final? Because there was 3 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't believe it. They had a stoppage for maybe an injury.
Yeah, that was Christian.
So there's 3:03. I was just gonna say that was Christian Joy on the long touchdown for Trinity there to go up 30-14.
We just gave him a shout out. He's one of those kids who returned. Yeah, Carolyn. She just mentioned that the Harrisburg Cougars players are also doing Cougars Den podcast of their own, which is pretty.
Wow.
Yeah, I know they're doing that with Carla Hill from Blessed to Give. She's trying to do some good things in the city, man, with what's going on, for some of these kids in the city. And I keep saying, it gets a lot of negative attention for what's going on in the city, but the city's producing a lot of really special kids too, despite some of the negative things that are happening. So we got to figure out how to get rid of those negative things to get just positive things for those kids. So good job, Boog. Get a shout out there. Yeah, that was a heck of a play by Christian Joy there, returning that interception. Like I said, Austin, he was a kid when a lot of these kids left Trinity, and I'm not saying anything bad about the kids that left Trinity because, when Jordan Hill leaves, Mike Malty leaves, you don't know what's going to be, right? You don't know what's going to be left. So if I was a kid and I was playing, I'd probably been looking around too. So I don't blame any of those kids that transferred out, but Christian's a kid that probably could have went to some other places too, came back, and he's poised to have a big season for Trinity. So good for him. Like I said, this is a really good win for Trinity. I love some of their players. Jacob Ness with over 130 tackles last year. I said it already tonight. Emil Way, I think, is a special player. So, this is just good for them to see this. Not great for East Pennsboro though. They're also in.
I was going to say, where do you then look for in terms of the East Pennsboro side of it?
Like I said, they lost a lot too. So we didn't know how good they were going to be. Like I said, I noticed Aaron Angelo had a really good game last week, and two years ago he was really big for them. Last year it was more, I had a couple kids now who left, and Keith Otis, their quarterback and linebacker, had a big. There was some kind of jump pass that was a funky looking play along the sideline there, Austin. So
I'm just trying to find a way at this point down 16 points, or just get creative, I guess.
So Josh McDermott says that Kevin Brown kid, can't even call him a kid, is downright fun to watch. He's a mauler in the way any player in the trenches would aspire to be. I hope Harrisburg comes ready to play and is able to give me the deal. So Josh, what we broke to start off the podcast is Kevin Brown's dad. We talked to him earlier tonight. Kevin Brown broke his foot, so he did that in Thursday's practice. He will not play tomorrow, unfortunately. That's your Penn State commit and number one player in the state for the junior class. I agree, Josh. He's a very lean, 6'5", 270 type player. There's not a lot of fat on that kid. He moves like a linebacker, and he hits hard. He has one of the funner, if that's the word, one of the funnest highlight tapes to watch for offensive linemen that you're going to see. I'll tell you, I was talking to Jeff Wechter this week. He told me that Kevin Brown was the best lineman he's seen in the Mid-Penn in 27 years.
Wow.
Bishop McDevitt's coach. So high praise coming from him to say that about Kevin Brown. So that's a big loss, And this is a huge, huge game. Carolyn, I know you're listening, and we're putting some pressure on you. It's a huge game for Harrisburg just because you lose Sean Lee going into the season, and now you lose Kevin Brown for an undetermined amount of time. Those are two amazing players, and they still have a lot of talent on the Harrisburg side. When you lose two players like that, it's hard to get it figured out. So, you figure Bishop McDevitt's the favorite tomorrow, but, you hope, if you're a Harrisburg fan, you hope to see the Cougars at least play well in this game or try to figure some things out. Because Bishop McDevitt looked really good in their first week against a solid team. So, we'll see. It is brutal, Josh. That's the one thing you hate to see. Doesn't matter who the kid plays for. You hate to see a kid get hurt. I mean, this is a dangerous game. You hate to see it. And Kevin's got a bright future regardless, but I know he wanted to be playing tomorrow. It's going to kill him. So, here we go. Trinity's got the ball back. So, this one's pretty much over, Austin. 30-15. I can't see him coming back with 5 minutes to go. There's a nice run there.
Yeah.
How about Trinity? Coming back, man. Good to see.
Nice run there from Jacob Ness.
Jacob
Ness
is a ball player. I mean, he's like a 5'11" linebacker. Like I said, he had 130 tackles last year. So Carolyn's giving prayers up for Kevin Brown. Definitely. We hate to see that for anybody. So Central Dauphin and Cedar Cliff going into overtime. So huge for looks like Northern might be coming back. Northern was down. So, but yeah, Central Dauphin and Cedar Cliff now going into overtime. And Central Dauphin got roughed up last week, as we said. So if they can be, all of our guys are texting right now. They're firing them. We have a group text with the reporters, and they are fired up by what's happening in the field. Because Northern has come back. They have tied their game 27-all. They were down pretty good earlier to Mifflin County, and now they've come back and tied it 27-all. Which Bill Miller's guys, they're going to run the football and they're going to play tough. I don't think Northern's ever going to out athlete you, but they just play a tough sort of brand of football. You go out to Dillsburg, they've had Cole Bartram, who was a wrestler, was a running back, who was a big time rusher for him last couple of years. And before him, they had Kyle Schwartz, who went to wrestle at Army, who was their school's all-time leading rusher. So they'll always find a guy to run the football, and they're running at you. So Susquehanna Township 35, Greencastle Antrim 13. Watch out for Hannah, man. Carolyn Fortney, I'm gonna tell you what. You guys got a tough one tomorrow, but State College is killing Altoona, who had a couple guys coming back here. Brian Mosley was pretty good last year. They got a pretty good couple linemen, but it's 50-0, and they whipped up on Gateway last week too. You're talking about Scoop Smith, Josh. Scoop Smith is a wide receiver. I think he had about 200 yards receiving last week. Scoop Smith is a heck of a ball player. He's a little thin, but he can run. The kid from Woodland Hills, Josh McDermott, on our chat is asking us about Scoop Smith. He's a heck of a player. I think he's only a sophomore or junior. He's young, and he's a ball player. He's got a great name for a ball player too, right? Scoop Smith. He's good. So I always tell people.
We need to do an all-name team. Best names in the state. Do like a bracket.
Tasso Whipple at Penn Trafford. He always has big games. Tasso. I've never seen a kid named Tasso Whipple. But
love that.
But I always tell people, Josh and Austin, one of the fun things about football now in 2024 is, it used to be. Now I'm 41 years old, and I don't know how that happened because it seems like I was just in high school. But, I was like class of 2001. It used to be like when you had these high school kids, you hear about them and you had to go see them in person to see them. But now you can pull up anybody's huddle. You can find film of anybody and see them and kind of get an idea, if it's just numbers, if it's who they're playing, if they're special. Carolyn, like I said, Carolyn's watching her son. You can go watch him now. Carolyn, what is Elias now? 6'3", probably 200 pounds, wide receiver. You get an idea, he's a big physical wide receiver who's kind of nationally ranked for Harrisburg. He can get it done. So, like, you can go watch these kids and get an idea of what the college guys are looking at, too. It used to be you just had numbers. And you kind of figured it out by numbers, but numbers don't always tell the story. So, of what makes a prospect, what makes a kid special.
I almost think they rarely tell the story. It's really the eye test. You can see it. You can see who's the special prospect and who's,
always
not bad.
This is always my rule for anybody who's watching. If you go out to a field and if you want to know who the guy is out there, right? If everybody looks like everybody, then nobody there's probably going to the NFL. They all look the same. The guys who are going to the NFL, they stand out. They're different most of the time. They're just going to be faster than everybody else, or they're going to be bigger. A lot of those guys in the NFL, they're unicorns. There's not a lot like them. Like when we watch Micah Parsons play, my wife, I was sick at the time, cancer also, and she went to a couple of games just to make sure I was going to be okay. And she sat in the stands, and she would text me at halftime, like, "This is child abuse. This is a grown man playing against, little kids. And so that's just how it looks."
Yeah, I would have seen Micah his senior year out at Exeter. Actually, I covered that, and yeah, that's what it was. It was like, this isn't right. He doesn't belong on the field with these little kids. Even though, I mean, it's just it's like a man playing a kid's game with those special type talents.
Occasionally, you do get the kid who works his butt off to become like an amazing route runner or something, but even then they have some kind of special, their feet are special, something that's just elite. to get to the league. So
Mm-hmm.
well, here we go. It looks like Trinity's going to close this one out. We got any other finals coming up? Anything coming in the email for us tonight?
Cedar, well, in that game in overtime, which Dan Sostek is at, Cedar Cliff got a score in the first overtime, so 21-13 there. That's not necessarily a final, but Cedar Cliff has gone up.
James Buchanan beating Susquehanna at halftime. I'm sure that game's over by now. So Cumberland Valley beat up on Carlisle. No surprise there. Carlisle's kind of rebuilded. I tell you what, Shippensburg, it looks like they have beaten Hershey. And again, guys, if you haven't been following that, story, Brady Majeski, their quarterback, his brother was found dead last week. Their father is Mark Majeski, who's Shippensburg University's coach. Brady is the starting quarterback for Shippensburg. He went out and played for them last week with a heavy heart and helped them win last week, and now they're going to win again this week. They get to win again this week, so they're 2-0. And Hershey's a pretty tough team. I think I even picked Hershey to win, which should have told you right there that Shippensburg was going to win. But it's a sad story, but it's also one of the better stories, you know.
Yeah, good to see them go out to 2-0 for sure. Hey, East Pennsboro showing some signs of life. They just recovered a fumble at the 38 to get the ball back. 2:31 left, down 2 scores. But hey, man, stranger things have happened.
Josh asking if we saw Buffalo Joe, the undrafted rookie who made the 53 for the Buffalo Bills. Really cool story. Just shows what these kids are willing to put in. Even out of somewhat obscure, unexpected place, they're able to make it to the pinnacle of their craft. Really impressive to see. I didn't see that story. I will tell you, we got a kid named David Martin Robinson from over in Lancaster. I think our Tamir is working production tonight. Tamir, I think, might have covered him some when he was at Temple. And he just made the Titans, I think, as an undrafted rookie, as a tight end, kid over in Lancaster. Am I right, Tamir? Can you hear me, Tamir? You around? Tamir says, yes, he did. So I always liked him. He was a really unique high school player. He played like a lot of different positions. I think he's like 6'3", 240 now. But he was a guy. He just looked like a dude. And I think one of the reasons why he ended up at Temple is Tamir says he's a great guy too. One of the reason I think he ended up at Temple is because he almost didn't have a position coming out of high school. He was like this big guy. He could have been a linebacker. He could have been like a wide receiver. Could have been a tight end, obviously. Could have been a number of things. And I think some schools might have been hard. Sometimes schools get scared about a guy if they can't slot him into a specific position on their boards, you know? So, Ramir, hop in here. You can talk a little bit, Ramir. If you guys haven't met Ramir, he's our new guy. Ramir Vaughn. Ramir Vaughn, who is a Temple Owl, who joined our PennLive staff. As this game winds down, and most of our games tonight wind down, I think we run across some of the top scorers in the state. Ramir, you Steel High lost.
Yes.
And you were out earlier this week. You did kind of a neat story on them real quick. Just tell us about that real quick.
Yes. Excuse me. Nariah Wright was tragically shot and killed maybe about 2 weeks ago. And she was a big part of the Steeler community. And, Steel High is the high school in that community. And obviously she was more than just, a 13-year-old girl. She was an athlete. She did cheerleading. She ran track, was a sprinter. And she, excuse me, she meant a big deal to that community. Everyone who I've talked to describes her as loving and outgoing and cheerful and bubbly. Like no one has a bad thing to say about her. So obviously it had a huge impact on the rest of the community when she passed. And I went out to Steel High maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and talked to a ton of people just about her and what she meant to the program, what she meant to people in general, in the community in general. And like I said, they had nothing but good things to say about her. and they decided, several teams decided, because she had a very good relationship with people on the football team. Her uncle Stephen Pryor is the defensive coordinator, and he also played at Steel High. Had some under Coach Irby. They're doing something to honor her by having a sticker decal on the back of their helmets with her face on a neon green sticker, which is her favorite color. So I thought that was a good touch. And the cheerleading squad is going to have a #LLN, which means long live Naraya, on their bows this year. And the track team wants to do something. They're not quite sure yet, but they did. When she was buried, they put her track uniform inside the casket.
Yeah, definitely good stuff. That Steel High honoring Naraya for sure.
Yeah, Coach Irby knows. You look, they won a couple state championships, but they've been through a lot out there. You know, I know last year, right before the season, Alex and Andrew Irby's grandmother died, so he kind of dedicated the season and the records to those. Wrote a pretty good story about that. So look, they've been faced with a lot at Steel High, and they've overcome it. They had a tough night tonight, but you know, one of the fun storylines that's developing here is Northern has come back. They were down to Governor Mifflin. Oh, they just missed the field goals. They're going to overtime. We were wondering, should have let Anna Lehman kick it. We were wondering if Anna Lehman, who was a pretty good kicker, she kicks all the extra points for Northern, was going to get a chance at the game-winning field goal, but they let another kicker kick it and they missed it. So they're going to overtime there. Not bashing the kid. Would have been a great storyline though if Anna Lehman would have got the game-winning shot at the game-winning boot there. So big night around the area.
Yeah, let's see what else we have final.
Ramir, you seen anything jumping off the board to you tonight?
He's just licking his wounds over his Temple Owls. Getting stomped over by those Sooners.
Hey, what's the score in that? I might know somebody that's got a few dollars on that game.
It was the last time I checked, it was 37-0 Sooners, but it was 34-0 at halftime. So their defense has played a little bit better. The offense is
still 37-0 Oklahoma.
The offense is god awful, so I'm not too worried about that.
I think the spread was like 41.
Oh, they'll cover for sure.
I hope so for my friend's sake. You know, you got gambling problems. There's lines to call. Somewhere out there, you can call them. So
1-800 gambler.
Don't at me. Ramir,
hey.
When are we going to do this EA college football thing as this game winds down?
Well, whenever you want to, brother. I can't do it tonight, but
I don't sleep. If you guys are watching this, you know, at Sports by B Linder on X, which I like to call it Twitter, I don't sleep. If you want to at me, you want to talk some football or whatever. I'm technically supposed to be out of sports, but I'm still in sports because it's where my heart is. But you know, and I love this football stuff. So you can add me and we can talk about some players all night long.
Sunday might be a good day. I don't think I'm doing anything Sunday. So
we got that Juniata went final against Steel High, who we were just talking about. That's 29-14 Juniata. So that one goes fine. Milton Hershey 21-19 over Middletown.
Let's see if I can get us a coach two on here. Let's see.
That's a final there between Cedar Cliff and Central Dauphin. 21 for Cedar Cliff, 13 for Central Dauphin in overtime.
Well, I'll tell you this. My picks are a disaster this year. Don't follow me in the pick 'em.
Are you historically one of the stronger ones?
Just a disaster.
Who normally takes it?
I won it a couple years ago. You know, Epler sets the lines. We have lines, folks, for our games.
Right.
Epler sets the lines. I always say that's a built-in advantage. You know, if you set the line, I mean, you should win it. Epler won. I'll give Epler his credit. You know, he won it the last couple of years. So Hey, where was that Juniata Steel High game at? Was that at Juniata?
That was up at Juniata. Eric Appler was took the drive.
Let's see. He's all. I've never been to Juniata, so this game is taking forever to wrap up. What's going on? We're up by 23. Let's get out of here, boys. Let's take it to the house. Go home.
I think,
there's your professional wrestling term, Austin. Go home.
that's right. Go to the finish, boys. Christian Joy just had another big run. That last score was a 46-yard touchdown run, again down the left side for Christian Joy. So what was a pretty competitive match here. Trinity is really taking control here late, and so should be about to the finish line.
I'm trying to get us a guest on here as we wrap up. How about statewide? We got people here.
Yeah.
We got people watching. Let's run down some statewide scores.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's going on? How bad did your? I keep saying they're yours, which you're never really.
They're really not. You could maybe say that Ephrata is mine, but
Easton 49-7 over Matt Zoller's, state's top-ranked quarterback, and Spring Ford.
Yeah,
that's not a pretty win.
Yeah, you got Nazareth 34, Whitehall 6. North Allegheny took down Gateway 19-7.
Gateway's kind of having a rough year. They're usually pretty good. They have some good athletes. They had Derek Davis a few years ago. Guys like that, they're usually pretty good. They're having a rough year. State College beat them up pretty good last week. So
then out there in the suburban one, CBE Central Bucks South 21, Souderton 6.
No, you can't, Ramir. You cannot turn your camera off.
My fault.
Josh, Makai Flower.
You're allowed. You're allowed.
Josh wants to know what Makai Flower
go.
Yeah, Makai he did start his career at Penn State. Makai Flowers, who was a Steel High standout, who finished his career at CD East. He was started off as a DB at Penn State. He's a wide receiver right now. I think James Franklin give him some props. I think he's still down the depth chart a little bit. He can do both. I think it's going to be interesting because he's more of a physical type guy, I think. Obviously, having played defensive back. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in there. Obviously, they need some guys to develop in that wide receiver core. That's going to be a key for him. I mean, I think they can run the ball. But, to get Drew Aller going, I think last year there was a lot of talk about receivers not getting a lot of separation and stuff like that. I think it would help if they could get a guy going. And Makai's a guy who showed he can make plays. I do believe in him. I know he had a knee injury last year too, I think. So I would expect maybe a little bit of a slower start here.
Yeah.
I think he's been practicing and feeling well, but I would expect a little bit of a easing into it, and then we might really find out how good.
Hey, Brian, we got a first guest opportunity. Actually, we got Dan Sostek checking in from Cedar Cliff and Central Dauphin. That was that game that went to overtime. So let's bring Dan in. There he is. Hey, Dan.
Hey guys, I tried to figure out how to do it. Get a guest from the field, but I was bumming a little bit. So just have my pretty face on here.
Hey, we all good though. You got a good one out there, getting an overtime finish. What was your chief takeaway from your game?
Well, I mean, it was a wild one. Central Dauphin goes up 13-7. They miss the extra point that would have put them up 14-7. Cedar Cliff has a 4th and 10, converts that, drives down the field, and then it looks like Bennett Seacrest to his brother Blake Seacrest is going to be the game-winning touchdown pass. But then they botched the extra point snap with 2 minutes to go, so both teams miss an extra point, so it's kind of even in that regard, 13-13. Then Cedar Cliff scores on the opening overtime drive, and then offsides on the extra point attempt. So Colin Gillen says, "Let's go for 2." Goes for 2. Converts it, puts all the pressure on Central Dauphin, and they just stonewall them there. And it was a big win for Cedar Cliff. The crowd was going pretty crazy because I think, of all the teams that kind of switched divisions, they're the ones that were moving up to a really tough, a tougher division going against, all the 6A powerhouses. And for them to come out with a win against Central Dauphin, I know it's a younger Central Dauphin team. I think it meant a lot for Colin Gillen in that group.
I'm a little sad, Dan. I don't know what the spread was in the pick'em, but I'm having a pretty brutal night, I think.
I mean, it can't be worse than me picking Altoona to cover, and they were down 50-0 at the half. So
I might have picked them to score a couple too.
Yeah. Well, it seems like we've had a lot of close games though. So as long as if you bet the plus, you're probably doing pretty well. I mean, I think Tom's head to overtime now as well at Northern Mifflin County. But yeah, I think this Central Dauphin team's also kind of, it's definitely, they're really young. I think you could tell they're handing the ball to guys in the fourth quarter in close games that weren't touching the ball the first 2 or 3 quarters. And I think that just kind of tells you, they're still looking for guys. They're still looking for names and people figure out. But I think this night obviously belongs to Cedar Cliff, and they've also got a pretty exciting young running back in PJ Dent who had another 100-yard game. He looks the part, and I know Brian, you can attest to this. It just feels like Cedar Cliff's always going to have some sort of running back running for 100 yards under Colin Gillen.
Colin Gillen and Bill Miller out at Northern, they'll find a running back. They'll find somebody to tote the rock. So, hey, let me ask you this, because we got Josh McDermott on here. He's been talking some Penn State football and all. Your Pitt Panthers, real quick before we let you go. They open tomorrow. Kent State. What's our Pitt outlook for the year? What's our over/under win total? And you got the quarterback you said from Alabama.
Yeah. Well, they just got hit with some bad news that their supposed starting running back, Rodney Hammond, deemed ineligible for all of 24, senior running back. So maybe we get some Jules Goff from Central York snaps, although he's hurt as well. So, but who knows with Pitt? When Pitt, they're one of those programs, one of those teams that when you don't think they're going to be good, they're going to be good. That's why they have all these upset wins. But then when you have the expectations and you've got the big transfer QBs coming in, they've got an exciting OC in Cade Bell, who's actually a 30-year-old, as opposed to, Pat Narduzzi likes hiring the guys that have been offensive coordinators for 10 different programs. So at the very least, we'll get some District 3 flavor with Kenny Johnson out there.
So you're a Pitt Panther, though. Do you think your Pitt Panther is going to be good?
I got an okay. Like, the schedule's not that bad. I think the over under 6.5 wins. I think they hover 6 to 8, maybe.
I'm a Kenny Johnson guy. He was a beast at Dallas Town. He's good. Last one I'm gonna throw at you. Kevin Brown, you broke the story tonight. Out for an undetermined amount of time. Any thoughts on that, real quick?
I mean, there's not much to say other than it stinks because I just don't like all this stuff constantly kind of Harrisburg having some bad news after bad news. It feels like they've just kind of, drew the short end of the stick this year in some regards. It stinks for the person because Kevin's obviously a really good kid. He's one of those kids that has all that God-given ability, right? But I think he's worked his absolute tail off to get exactly where he is, which is, one of the best players in the entire country. And it just stinks because it kind of, takes away another wrinkle of the matchup we get tomorrow in Harrisburg Bishop McDevitt. They said they're seeing a specialist next week, so hopefully they get good news on that front. But yeah, I mean, who knows though? Because we said before that rivalry games, Cal Everett kind of always has his guys playing hard. They might come in with a pretty big chip on their shoulder. It's just when you lose a guy like Kevin Brown, that's pretty deflating. And if Kevin Brown can't play a football game, it's pretty bad. But yeah, hopefully they get good news on the foot and this week, and we get to see him out on the field again.
Well, Dan, good work tonight. Quit ducking me in EA College Sports, college football.
You almost got it. You almost made it out without it, Dan. I had my fingers crossed. But
this is live, so
Two
I'm not going to
games.
say what I want to say.
Against Dan, I've only thrown 2 incompletions across the past 2 games.
we can't do this. We can't do this to
Yeah,
Dan.
this is live.
Dan had the kindness of his heart to call in here. We can't do this to him.
Yeah,
Running Linder offensive systems.
Yep. All right. On that note,
up. He won't line up.
I'm sitting in a parking lot and I'm listening to these lives. I'm sure no one watching this live.
Saying line up.
Yes,
I'll show the text. Say line up, Dan.
Yep, and then I just ignore it. All right, guys, I got to get out of
Thanks for jumping on.
Yep,
appreciate it.
Line up, Dan. Get home. Line up. I got to mess with Dan. He did good work tonight, man. You know, it was a big.
Yeah, he did.
So
gonna say he was juggling it, ready for the pregame for the matchup that he was at, which obviously got a good one there between Cedar Cliff and Central Dauphin, and also chasing that Kevin Brown story. So yeah, for sure. Let's say game ball to Dan tonight. I will certainly say. So in overtime there, where Tom DiMartini is out with Mifflin County and Northern. Mifflin County did get a score on a 4th and 1 dive to go up 34-17, and we're awaiting the subsequent possession for Northern. So that one's still live.
Peters Township beat McKeesport 42-7. So, I mean, Peters is good, but the last score I saw on Central Catholic and Pine Richland was 11-8 Central Catholic, which is not your typical football score, but those are 2 really good teams, two hardcore, hard-nosed teams. So
we touched on this one earlier, but I hadn't updated. It was 14-all between Ephrata and Manheim Central. Ephrata ended up pulling away 31-14. That's a good win for the reigning District 3 finalists.
Let's see if the score list is out real quick. What do we got coming up this weekend? We got another game besides Bishop McDevitt and Harrisburg and Central PA tomorrow. Anything going?
Oh, look at that! Our boy Nick Faribault is keeping eyes on Central Catholic Pine Richland.
Yeah, what did he say?
I don't know. He just said that the game's in the 3rd quarter and it's completely off the rails. Not sure whether that's a good or bad off the rails, but
11-8, crazy score. So
Nick's been doing awesome work on the Steelers beat for us in our first year back on it. He's trying to give you a run for the money in terms of audience generation, Brian. He's been doing great work, breaking news and really staying on the pulse. People seem to really be gravitating to him. He's doing a daily podcast. I've been really pleased with our success so far, breaking back into the pro game.
It's a big year for the Steelers, you know. So, you know, we'll see if Russell Wilson can hang in there, if Justin Fields gets to play, and I mean, even I couldn't imagine them not having Mike Tomlin as their coach, but they struggle.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Hey, we got Evan Wheaton here who just jumped in, so let's bring him on. I think he's on the field. There he is, Evan Wheaton.
On the field. Hey guys, every time I'm at Cobo Field, whether it's football or soccer, you're in for a thriller. Hey, I have a guest with me. It's Christian Joy, attorney running back. I'm just going to read a stat line to you guys. Mr. Joy just ran 20 times for 223 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he also had an interception on defense for good measure. You know, he's taking over that starting running back role with Messiah Mickens transferring to Harrisburg. I'm going to pass it off to him if you want to ask him about the game.
Well,
what up, guys?
Brian Linder, man, how's it going?
It's going good. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet
you. I'm friends with your mom on Facebook. I've talked to her a couple times on Facebook.
Yeah, she's on Facebook a lot. She's on Facebook.
Hey, man, I'll ask you. Look, obviously there was a lot of turnover with the team this year.
Yep.
Coaches leaving. You had some guys transfer out.
Mm-hmm.
You stayed. Why did you stay, and how good was it to go ahead and get that first win of the season tonight with the guys who did hang in there?
Honestly, there's no better feeling to play with your brothers on at Trinity. It's just brotherhood here. So it's just a different energy, different atmosphere. It's just great playing on Cobo Field. So I had to stay.
So what did it feel like? You know, last week you guys come up a little short. to go out with these guys, kind of rebuilding this thing, and get that win tonight? How did that feel?
It felt great to get the win tonight. We needed it. It was a good team last week. We took the L, but we came back, fought, got the dub tonight. So we're cool. We came back.
Christian, what stands out there in the second half? I think that was a competitive game throughout. It was a tight one, and then you guys really were able to put it on them late and really pull away. What did you feel like were the keys to being able to execute down the stretch like you did?
Honestly, defense. I know I was going to come out and do my thing on offense, so our defense just needed to stop the quarterback, number 12. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he was just a really key player we needed to key on and stop. And we did it. So we took the dub.
Fantastic.
You guys are a good story, man. I know, like I said, you guys got Emil Way stayed there, Jacob Hess, who had a really good year.
Yes, sir. He's great. He's great.
You guys pulled the program back together. I know. What's the outlook for the rest of the year, and how are you guys feeling coming off of this one?
Honestly, we know this game isn't really going to define our whole season, but we're going for the district championship and hopefully a state championship. So hopefully you guys see us in the district championship and state championship.
A great game tonight, Christian. We appreciate you checking in, man.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thanks so much, Christian.
Who's Jacob Ness too? Just got to say, 11 rushes, 92 yards, touchdown, averaged over I think it was 10.6 yards per carry. So you mix it up with the backfield with that guy in there too. Just a tremendous night for Trinity. They were awarded the PennLive Cup at halftime. Just quite a scene here at Cobo Field. Final score doesn't reflect just how crazy that was.
Yeah, big one for them winning the PennLive Cup. For those who don't know, it's a recognition of the most successful programs across all sports in the previous school year. So that's a pretty great honor for Trinity to show the success that they did. Chris Hopkins was out there awarding it to Trinity's athletic director. So pretty cool thing that PennLive does to honor those great schools across all sports programs. So.
All right,
so we got another Evan. We got another one coming. Looks like we got Jasper Sheps coming on, Brian.
Yeah.
So Evan, if you're good, we
good.
appreciate you getting. Thanks for bringing on Christian. Thank you, Christian, again. Thank you, Evan.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Well done. Cheers.
See you guys.
All right, Brian. Looks like we got Jasper coming in. Let's bring him on in.
Jasper, what's
there
up?
There he is.
Hey guys,
Austin, I sent Jasper the link and said pop in because I know Jasper's always reading our stuff and retweeting us and stuff. Man, Jasper, you're messing up my picks, man. I picked Steel High to win tonight, man.
Well, sorry.
Hey,
what stands out tonight, Jasper? What are your main takeaways from what you guys were able to accomplish tonight?
We started slow in the first half. We were down 14-0. But we came out in the second half, and that speech we got at halftime definitely got us motivated, and we came out and played smash mouth football.
To beat a team like Steel High, won 3 of the last 4, won 8 state championships. What did that mean to you guys, and how important was that for you guys in this season to get going?
Oh, it was a great feeling. Of course, we started off 1-0, so just to get a win felt great, and then even making it Steel High, it felt even better. And then they were on a 29-game win streak coming in here, so that also gave us a little, fight.
Yeah, you guys snapped a big-time winning streak there with a legendary program. Jasper, you've had a couple really good years. For people don't know, we put, Juniata's not the biggest school. We had you on our All-PA team last year, 8 interceptions. I think you led the Mid-Penn. You've had a lot of really good two-way seasons. How are you feeling going into this year? And how's Juniata looking? Obviously now, I guess you guys are 1-1 now, right? How are you feeling? How you guys are looking? Carolyn Fortney said hello, by the way. She's in our chat, so she's watching.
I feel like we're good. Like this win against Steel High sets us up for a good chance to win this league.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think of it, there's 4 teams at the top really: us, Line Mountain, Camp Hill, and Steel High. So to get this win, it just gets a win under our belts and helps us move on. And then we have a tough one with Line Mountain next week, so got to come in Monday, get prepared for that.
That's a big one. I think that was the coach's pick in our preseason deal. I think that was who the coaches picked to win that league. So that is a huge game for you guys next week. So Hey, real quick, man, tell the people how to find you on social media and tell them what they're going to see when they pull up the film, because we've been talking you up a lot, and we really do think you're a good ball player, man. And like I said, Juniata is not always the biggest school, so it's easy for some people to kind of miss you in the mix out there, but you've been really putting up some big-time numbers, and I know getting a lot of respect from a lot of people saying Jasper Sheps is a good ball player. So tell them how to find you on social media and what they're going to see when they see you on that huddle film, man.
My Twitter is at Jasper Sheps, all lowercase. And I think my huddle, when you pull that up, you're going to see, a lot of dynamic plays, a lot of big-time plays. I can go up and get a ball for you, just playmaker.
Also, you got anything else from my guy Jasper?
Nah, just my appreciation for Jasper jumping on. We're calling this on the fly, so we love getting to be able to talk to the players straight after the game. It's a great way to come behind the scenes with us, you and me, Brian, during the game, but then be able to get the fresh takes from the players who lived it on the night. We just appreciate you jumping on, Jasper. So thanks so much, and continued success throughout the year.
Jasper, we always joke that you're like the first guy to always like retweet us or like our stories and stuff. So
I think Jasper was the first person from this region that when I came in to follow me on Twitter. So I appreciate him for that.
Stay on top of it, man. The opportunity. You've been here for many schools.
A little bit, not any offers yet, but a little bit of interest here and there.
Well, keep on it, man. It'll come. It's going to come.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jasper.
See you tonight.
Yep. See ya.
Hey, good stuff. Well done to have Jasper on. That was great to have him, and also Christian. So good showing here in week 2, getting 2 of the stars of the night, jumping on PennZone here.
Jasper Sheps is a heck of a ball player. If you guys, like I said, it's easy. I don't think people can overlook him. Out at Juniata, but the kid can play. So what else we got coming in tonight?
I was going to say, I'm just trying to see if we recapped all the mid-Penn. I think we probably got everything.
I think Northern came from behind and won in double overtime over.
Did they?
Yeah, over Governor. That's a big win for them. Bill Miller.
Especially from how far. What were they down? Weren't they down a few scores?
Yep.
I gotta find this now. We had Tom DiMartini out there for the reporting on that game. Hey, we picked some good ones tonight, Brian. We were in the right places, I think.
I didn't pick winners though, so.
Well, that I can't speak to. I'm saying we picked good games to highlight. So, yeah.
I got the statewide score list real quick. Williams Valley 48-6 over Mahanoy. Let's see if anything sticks out. Upper St. Clair 41-6 over Cannon Mac. I'm just scrolling the list. Scranton 36, Wyoming Valley West 13, Pottsville 48, Jim Thorpe 7, Port Allegheny 73, Smethport 6. 73. So Notre Dame Green Pond 56-0, and they scored like 70 points or something last week against a Garden Spot in a double overtime win. So they're putting up some numbers this year. Muncie beat Wellsboro 49-0. Mountain 40-0 over Newport. We had that. Jersey Shore 14-10 over Delaware Valley. Amani Christian 34-0 over Beaver Falls. Amani Christian has David Davis, who's a Penn State commit, and they have no, David Davis is not a Penn State commit. They have David Davis, who's one of the top recruits, and they have the linebacker Deshaun Burnett, I believe, who is a Penn State commit. There, like we said, Easton beat up on Spring Ford, Matt Zolish 49-7. That's the one.
Hey, Brian, we just had Tom DiMartini jump on here. Let's bring him in. He was at that double overtime thriller with Northern coming from Tom.
How you doing?
You caught yourself a good. You caught yourself a good one tonight.
I have a quarterback Grady Bonin here with me, and Grady, tell us about the comeback.
Yeah, so we were down by a lot. We never gave up. At halftime we made some adjustments. I started just trusting my line, making their blocks, giving me time in the pocket, and throwing to my receivers, trusting them to make a catch.
Tell us about the one that tied it to make it 27-all, and then the overtime winner.
Oh, yeah, those were awesome. I mean, just the environment here, our student section, everyone pumped up. I'm feeding off the crowd and just throwing it up to my receivers, letting them catch it. So it was huge.
How's this going to turn around your season now? You were looking at 0-2.
Yeah.
Now you're 1-1.
For sure. So much momentum. We had a rough week, lost week 1. And, this was huge for us to bounce back instead of going. Now we're 1-1 off a huge win. Next up, we'll be playing in Hershey Stadium. So we'll see you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Okay, guys, that's what we've got from here.
Love it, Tom. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Hey, not too bad there, Brian. We got one of the stars of the game.
Bill Miller and the Polar Bears.
Got it. Hey, that turns the tide for a team to come back from 2 scores like that, facing down 0-2, and then to come back with an overtime win like that. Yeah. Man, that who knows? Maybe that moment changes around their season in a way that reaches a ceiling that maybe it wasn't otherwise going to. So that's good stuff from them.
Carolyn said it reminds her of a certain district championship game from last year. I hear you, Carolyn. Steven said Haverford School has some dudes. Yeah, I figured they did, Steven, considering how you guys roughed up Southern Columbia last week and to see that score. I figured they did. So I still have high hopes for Wyoming. Justice Hardy, their running back. That's a kid to watch, Austin. For anybody who's watching out there around the state, Justice Hardy's, they always have those big dudes. They block and run well. Like I said, they held Southern Columbia, I think, to negative 41 yards on 25 carries, which is insane last year. And then to come back and get roughed up by Haverford, you figure they do have some dudes. But like you said, you just never know with those schools. And I ain't hating on them, but that obviously they played them. But Dan, sure. Our stream looks fine.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Hey, speaking of our stream looking fine, I'm feeling like maybe that's where we put a bow on things, Brian. I feel like we ran down the scores. We were able to get.
We're at 10:03. We got all the scores out there. What I can tell you guys is we just pop in here. We talk football. Let us know what we're doing good. Let us know what we're doing bad. We try not to have dead air on you guys. We try to talk about some things that are relevant. Obviously, big day tomorrow, Austin. Bishop McDevitt and Harrisburg. It's going to be super interesting to see, what Harrisburg, Carolyn, what you guys can do with a really good Bishop McDevitt team. And obviously it's been, as we came on the air, we reported that Kevin Brown, the top junior in the state for Harrisburg, is now out with a broken foot. So that's a tough blow for them, losing Sean Lee. Going into the season, the Pitt commit at quarterback. Harrisburg's still got tons of talent. I still think they're going to be there at the end of the year, but it's going to be tough tomorrow for them, I think, to get by Bishop McDevitt. But you never know with their talent. Bishop McDevitt's loaded. I'm excited. I'm going to be watching that game, Austin. I'm going to get up early, get ready, get fired up. I'll be watching that. We got a ton of stuff coming on Penn Live tonight. We get game reports. We got players to watch. Sunday, we'll have the whole lineup from the state. So stay tuned with us on Penn Live. We're going to have a bunch of stuff. Like I said, feel free to hit me up, hit Austin up on Twitter. Austin, tell them how to find you on Twitter.
Yeah, we're at Austin Hertzog, just my first and last name. Yeah, we're going to be all hands on deck. Obviously, yeah, we have all the great game coverage coming from tonight, photos, all the stories, players of the night lists, the nightly all-stars from across all sports. And then it's all hands on deck tomorrow for the big Harrisburg McDevitt game. We got Eric Appler, Dan Sostek, and Evan Wheaton all out there alongside TJ Smith, who did a great hype video, and he's going to be doing a game day video. We got Jimmy Brown out there. We got Joe. Joe Herman's going to be on the road, but we're Sean. I think Sean might be out there. Bottom line is we have the big coverage coming from the Harrisburg McDevitt game and all throughout the week.
If you're not looking for high school tomorrow, like you said, Joe Herman. We got him at the West Virginia Penn State game, so we got a bunch of guys down there for that too as we get that going. So, ton of stuff coming through the weekend. Football season's here, guys. I had all the TVs. As soon as we get off here, I'm going to crank them all up again, get ready for the high school shows, and then there's still some college football that, like I said, I may know some guys who have some money on a few of those games also, and I'm just saying. So we'll see how they come out in the end. But it was another fun week. Let us know what we're doing good. Let us know what you want to hear from us. Let us, we appreciate you guys who jumped in the chat here too and participated.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks everybody. And thank you, Brian. Thanks for your expertise. And I'm sure we'll be having some fun writing up, burning the midnight oil here, rocking that cold brew, right?
Yep, I got it right here.
Attaboy. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us here on PennZone. We'll see you next week.